So here,
What?
there's gonna be a surprise. Wait, when I turn my camera on. Um,
Oh no.
no, nothing that major. But I cleaned myself up. Um, got
Whoa!
got rid of all the hair and the beard. It's starting to warm up
Ooh.
in Ohio, and what I do anyways, I go 3 months. My hair's thinning so bad, so I just let it go for 3 months. Then when it starts to bother me, I chop it all off.
That's fair. That's
uh,
fair.
so hi everybody, we're back. I'm sorry the stream started a little late. I had some technical difficulties with my streaming software again. Because isn't that the way it always goes? Um, it, I could hear myself as an echo, and it was driving me absolutely insane. And I could not figure out what it was. I don't know if you've ever had to listen to yourself 1 second off while you're talking, but it's really distracting. Something I wanted to do to start the stream today that we didn't do yesterday is talk a little about my system itself before we jump right into it. So, uh, what I wanted out of this system is it to be completely narrative driven, super simplified rules, and for you to just be telling a story, right? I think one of the problems with the big popular TTRPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, even Powered by the Apocalypse systems, is it wants you to stop and make you do math. Okay, and I love the shiny math rocks. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love them. But what I want to do is for the story to continue. Um, ooh, pretty
All of
shiny
mine
math
right
rocks.
here.
What I want is for the story to continue even as the dice are being rolled, right? I want it super simplified, very open ended, and leave it to the player and the characters to drive the story, which is something I've really enjoyed. It helps when you have semi professional writers as your players. That has been a big thing. And
I mean, I'm technically published, so technically I'm a professional writer.
There we go. See, to have actual professional writers instead of semi-professional. Uh, so basically, my system is just you roll a 1d100 for anything that could be random. Anything. So 2d10 percentile. Um, if you get advantage in my system, that means you get to pick the higher number as the tens number. It doesn't come up a whole lot, but sometimes people are so damn creative in what they do where I'm like, no, that 17 was a 71, right? You're good. um, and so if you want to learn more about it, you can come to the Orsac Narrative Universe Discord or follow me on my channel. We will post the link in chat at some
I
point
got it.
here. Okay. Um, And if you come there, everybody new to the server right now is getting a 2 week free trial with any of our many professional DMs and systems. Josh Orsack, who runs the Discord, is an amazing dungeon master. We all love him. In my text game, I ended up getting sent back by Jar Jar Binks to kill Anakin Skywalker as a child. And instead, we disconnected him from the Force and trained him in the Void. And oh man, it's been so fun. I love my
That one's
character
been a
so
lot of
much.
fun to read.
Yeah. Well, and Morden, my OC, it somehow became a dark bard during during the thing. Very inspired by Poor Man's Poison. I love that group. If you haven't checked them out, please do. You will recognize some of their stuff from Sounds on TikTok. I would tell you right away. Um, and I mean, he looks like Michael Jackson though, so, just an evil Michael Jackson. uh, but yeah, so my system, like I said, it's designed for people new to the hobby that want to tell story, right? Unlike other systems like D&D has a ton of mechanics, it's basically it's based around combat, right? Like and social encounters are kind of a secondary thing. My game is way more based on the story and driving the story forward. which is something we're going to get onto today, and it's going to be super exciting. Um, so I listened to our stream from yesterday, and I realized that when we were giving the summary at the beginning, I did not mention how your mother attacked the fairy godmother, and that the
Yes,
half of the house collapsed. I don't know how we didn't mention that part of it.
like a big part of the plot.
So that's going to come into play today. Um, if you want a more thorough summary, please watch the VOD. It's up on YouTube, This Abstract Thought. It'll be up on Twitch, I think for 72 hours, and then it takes it off of Twitch, unfortunately. But please go watch that. It's a much fuller summary. But the quick basics is a girl who lived a very sheltered life in her family's noble estate finds out that she has a fairy godmother who is a unseelie winter court, Grimm's fairy tale, the Leon Sid from Dresden Files, if anybody's familiar with that. There was a confrontation. Half of the house collapsed as Leora, the main character, and her longtime friend Matthias were fleeing from the Leon and Sid. It is believed that it was her mother that collapsed the house based on what happened. Um, and Matthias thinks that it was her father that invited the Leon and Sid into the family estate. All of the staff members had been told that you never invite anyone onto the estate, um, anyone ever. And it had been, Leora's, you said early 20s, probably, right?
Yes.
So it had been 2 decades without incident, and then this all happened. Um, so there was a mass chase scene. Matthias gets hit by a blast of Fey magic and is freezing in place. And Leora's like, fuck this, and stabbed her with a cold iron nail.
I'm so proud of that scene.
Yes, that
I'm
was,
so
oh
proud of
man.
it.
I was seriously like goosebumps and chills because I was like, oh man, she's not going to leave Matthias, so what's going to happen? And you're like, ah! It
If
was
you're in the Discord, go read that. It's so good. If you're not gonna read anything else, go read that. It's so good.
Yep, the entire A Face Secret storyline has been great. Now, there's been some lulls for character development, which any good story is gonna have. So anyway, the Leanne Sid is banished from the mortal realm. She turns into a pile of soot and blows away in the wind. Matthias is in a coma. He got taken to the light of Pelor, who are essentially doctors, and they said he's not doing well. We don't know what's going to happen. Leora met up with Gabriel, who was a friend of Matthias from the Easing the Badger Inn. There was some other wish wash with the Fae, and then it was revealed that Gabriel is an archangel, and he healed Matthias, and said that at this point Leora had chosen a side, which was somewhat ominous. Um, since then, they got beautiful clothing made for the celebration that's going on today, which is where our story is going to start at the Dawn Father's banquet. They had a wonderful but very dweeb-filled evening on the Saffron ship. Um, they were approached by Titiana, saying, "Hey, I owe you because you've lost time with your mother." Those were her specific words. Um, and this is what I'm giving you for recompense. And Leora again was like, I don't want nothing to do with you, Fey bitches. Will you stop showing up? And Titiana was kind of like, you remind me so much of your mother. And it was revealed that Titiana, the queen of the summer court, the highest royalty of the Fae, was Leora's great grandmother. Her grandmother would have been Titiana's daughter, who had a tryst with a Winter Court Fae, who is yet to be named, and their daughter had a tryst with Uriel, who is a rebel celestial, who is banished from the celestial plane, much like her mother is banished, her blood
Like,
mother.
crazy.
And it seems
And
to
we
be a
wonder
family
why
trait.
Leora is a rebel at heart. Tries her best to be good, just at heart is very rebellious. Also, I think it's important to note that I didn't know who Leora's parents were while creating the character. And so it just happened to be she perfectly fit this archetype of who her family was.
Hmm. Yeah.
Without knowing this, mind you.
Yep. And it was kind of a big deal where you were telling me that your character was purposefully made without the tragic backstory, and I was like, oh well, let me supply that for you.
It's fine.
Yeah, well, the thing is, normal, healthy people don't adventure. Okay, like it doesn't happen. So
Normal, healthy people can adventure.
I
If
don't.
you're in the Discord, like, Effecto, she's another character that I play with in the Discord. She is a normal, healthy person that is adventuring the entire multiverse, just having a blast with her best friend. Just because she likes to.
Yeah, I guess there would be the wild, adventurous spirits to begin with, but for the most
Hmm.
part, it's tragedy that begets story, right? Um,
Yes.
so yesterday's stream, we started the Day of the Dawnfather's banquet, a massive festival in the city of Vostis, um, and celebrating Pelor, the light, the supreme being, the first of all creations, the light of justice, who Gabriel and Uriel are both begot from. All celestials in this particular world are in service to Pelor. And today is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the height of Pelor's power. And there is a massive festival where once the sun begins to set, all of these lights are lit to increase Pelor's power, to prolong the day and prevent the night, prevent the darkness from taking over, which is always a chance to happen. Um, so, with that all said, we ended the stream with Leora, Matthias, Gabriel, and Gabriel's daughter. Oh, excuse me. Gabriel's daughter Mary entering into the palace grounds in the early afternoon of the day of the Dawnfather's banquet. And Leora was scanning the crowd to see if she was going to run into someone that she knew. Um, and
Wasn't specifically looking for someone that she knew because she hasn't put together yet that she's going to recognize people here. She
mhm.
was just looking out at the faces of people being like, oh, how lovely. This is going to be such a nice night. Love her, but she's not the smartest.
So actually, with that, why don't you go ahead and make a wisdom roll? Um, so let's see, what is your wisdom? It was pretty high, right?
Is 49. I believe that passes. Let me pull it up real quick.
Uh, yeah, you needed a 39. So uh, so I am looking at her character sheet right now, and let me actually jump to it so
Hmm.
everybody can see it. Um, but the way rolls work in my game is you have to beat your percent chance of failure. So your competency scores here are your percent chance of success. So you have to roll above, the opposite of it. So with 61, she has to beat a 39 in order to succeed. And the higher you roll, the better the success. The closer to your intent the success is the way I like to say it. Because sometimes the success isn't at all what you intended. Um, oh shoot, it's doing that thing with your camera.
I got it.
There we are. Okay. So you said you got a 49, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So you're scanning over the crowd and you see um a ton of faces that you've seen, but not that would necessarily be close to you. These are all sycophants of the royal family and nobles of all varying degrees. Um, and you're in this massive courtyard with all of these topiary bushes. Um, as I said yesterday, there are paper lanterns on these strings that go from wall to wall that are just covering the entire place, and that are waiting for the sunset to be lit. Um, there are palace guard all around. Today they're wearing all white with like a vestment with the sun on it, in honor of Pelor. The royal line actually claims lineage from Pelor. They are supposedly directly related to the original being, um, and through line without number. And this monarchy is actually matriarchal. So it is the queen that rules, and the king is more just a figurehead. He runs the military side of things more, and then the queen runs everything else. And all lineage is traced through the matriarchal line. Um, the so that way it's always true, right? You can't like um, you can't claim that the child isn't yours. You had it. Like,
I
something that I've always wondered about
mean, that works.
monarchies. Yeah. Um, so, and in scanning the crowd, actually, let me roll here.
Ooh.
We'll see. Oh, I rolled really high. I rolled a 92.
Well, that passes whatever it is.
Yeah. So, you do not see anyone that you are, um, I don't want to say worried about because that's not the right phrase, but anyone that you would be concerned in seeing. Um, oh dang it! I went away and now your camera. Here, let me see if I can turn your camera on and off, or you do it. There we go.
I did it.
Okay. So, you enter into the courtyard and there are bards singing. There are acrobats up on the walls doing things that would make me vomit if I was the one doing it. Uh, I always like to say I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling from high places. Right? It's slightly different. I can be up high if there's no chance of me falling. Right? So there are performers of all kinds, but in here in this area, some of the performers are different. There are wizards who are very proficient in illusion magic, making all kinds of crazy things happen. And one of them is, it seems like above the courtyard, the clouds have been gathering all day. It was a beautiful sunny day in the morning, but the clouds have been gathering and gathering. The wind's starting to pick up. But above the palace, there is this break in the clouds and this sunlight streaming down directly onto the palace. But if you look at it from too far away, you see it doesn't add up right, right? It's not high enough in the air. It's not true sunlight. It is a massive illusion. Um,
That's
to
so cool, though.
Yeah, uh, to make it like that all the time today. Um, and there are all of these various magic users of all kinds, And today they are all wearing white and gold, which is what both Matthias and Leora are also wearing. It is kind of the tradition for Pelor's Day, um, that everyone wear his colors, which is the light and the sun. Um, the absence of darkness. And the streets were crazy. This is a much more controlled crazy. Okay. These are nobles with their noble bearings. So there are not, drunken yelling. There is not near as much sharing of kisses as there was on your way here. It is a much more subdued celebration. And as you come in, you see Queen Morgana herself. Um, she is on this raised platform at the end of the courtyard, with all of her, varying attendants and high nobles around her. She is wearing an all white dress. She is very blonde. She is early 40s, but still looking young and radiant for her age. And she is greeting a long procession as they are coming through and offering her blessings on this day, the Dawnfather's banquet. Um, and throughout this massive courtyard, I mean, it's multiple football fields long. If you want a good picture of the distance, there are booths of all different kinds of games of chance. There are vendors selling foods of all kinds of different, mostly vegetables and fruit, though. It is kind of a tradition, especially among the nobles on Pelor's Day, that no life be taken. So there is not meat being served in the courtyard currently. Um, but yeah, what does Leora want to do in this subdued chaos in the courtyard?
Um, I mean, my first thought was like she is a noble woman, and so she would go to like greet the queen because like she knows all of the customs and everything. Like that is what she would do if her family was here. And so her first instinct is like, okay, well, that is what we do is we go and we greet the queen, and then we can do other things.
Mm-hmm.
So she like her arms in Matthias's and just like begins to walk to the line to go greet the queen.
Okay. Yeah, and Gabriel notices where you are heading and follows suit. But you hear Mary like, "Da, really? Is is that the first thing we have to do? There's all these." He's like, "Mary, listen to me. It's the Queen." And Mary kind of sullenly, you know, lip out, pouts a little bit, and follows with the the rest of you on into this long line, waiting on being able to be greeted by the Queen. Um, so as you approach, as I said, there's booths on either side of the courtyard, just full of different um, things going on. And man, your camera froze again, and it's bothering me. Give me a second to see if I can turn it on enough, or you can just do it. And there it goes. uh, so
Sorry.
no, you're fine. You end up being in line with a behind a noble family that you recognize. These are the Farthens. Um, they are around the same level as your family. Like you are pretty high up in the noble hierarchy, and they are around the same line. So you wouldn't have had as much direct contact with them as you would some of the lesser noble houses. But you have been at functions and galas and balls and stuff like that where they have been in attendance and they would recognize you. Um,
Oh
so
no.
um, I think it takes a little while. Actually, roll Roll agility, and we're gonna see how accidentally stealthy you are.
That is a 72.
Oh man.
Hey.
Okay, so it does take a while. Um, let
Like steps in line, she recognizes them and then immediately positions Matthias so that he's like sitting in between them and they can't quite see her.
yeah. Yep. Well, and I think Gabriel kind of notices your hesitance as well, and he is a large, broad-shouldered man. So I think he steps forward and kind of pulls Mary with him, so that you are behind them. But after a while, the father, um, the head of the Farthen family, turns around and sees Gabriel, and he's like, "Oh, Gabriel, what? You could have said something." And Gabriel's like, "My lord," and they have this kind of awkward moment where the Celestials are above the noble houses, right? The noble houses greatly resent that. Um, they don't feel that supernatural beings living on the mortal plane should have more access to the queen than they do, and it's something that bothers them greatly. And
And
uh,
my father didn't like Celestials.
yes, yep, and that's a big part of the reason why. And he felt that the Fae were actually um, more honest in the way they did things, right? The Celestials are just these, like, to some people they would be brutes, right? They're uh, enforcers, and if you're maybe a little shady or underhanded, you're definitely not going to like the way that they do things. Where the Fae, it doesn't matter if you're good or evil, right? They are straight with their dealings as long as you're paying attention. Um, they're going to try to mislead you in how they word things, but
Hmm.
to someone who's a little more shady, that's going to seem the norm, right? And whereas Celestial is just going to tell you this is the way it is, and there's no bargaining, there's no arguing with that. They are the chosen of Pelor himself. Um, so I think that's part of what saves you for a little bit is he just stops turning around. He starts conversation with his wife and daughter, and he doesn't want to interact with Gabriel. So it's gonna take a while for him to maybe notice you. You rolled high enough, and I actually rolled low enough that we're just gonna keep that going for now. So it's a decent wait. People are trying to be brief, but it's the queen. It's not like you can say, "Oh, hey, bye," and then just go. There's some ceremony involved, and I think Matthias, he has not revealed to most people that he is celestial. So I think he's even extra super awkward in this line right now because he doesn't know what to say to the queen. He's never been face to face with the queen. Um, and I think you could tell that he's.
Leora has multiple times. Like
Yes.
it's not something that she does all of the time, but like she's comfortable with it. She has like gone through the training. She knows exactly what to do, and so she's like, "This is it's gonna be fine."
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, you definitely notice that Matthias is like getting sweaty. He's fidgeting more than he normally would. He has a sword with him, and he keeps pulling it out like a little bit and then ramming it back into the scabbard. Um, much like I'm actually fidgeting right now with some of my daughter's little fidget things that she has around because that's what I do with my hands. Uh,
Playing with my dice.
so as the line moves on and on, um, towards the end of the line near the queen, there are these tents on either side for people to be able to get shade, to maybe get out of the big crowd for a little bit. And there are guards, Queen's guards, next to both of them. Um, and so it finally becomes your turn. The queen herself is in front of you, and she greets Gabriel first. And of all of the people that she has spoken to yet, she does not um, pay deference to them, right? They're the ones there to pay deference to her. But as soon as Gabriel comes up, she nods her head, and Gabriel holds out his hand, and he has a ring, and she kisses Gabriel's ring. Um,
Leora's staring at us and she's like, what?
yeah. So you might have seen Gabriel at some functions before, but you've probably never seen this formal of a greeting between him and the Queen. Um, he is an archangel. He is, the right hand of Pelor himself. And this is Pelor's day, the height of Pelor's power, where she is granted her power through Pelor. So this is probably the one time out of the year where she would pay this much homage to Gabriel. And Gabriel is Gerard Butler, so he is just super smooth and cool about it. Better than I could ever pull off. But it's essentially my queen. And he then bows to her and he says, "My sword, as always, is at your service. May Pelor's light shine upon all here." And he kind of like spreads his arms, and being a celestial has its perks. Okay, so when he does that, the illusion kind of ripples where the light has been shining down, and the clouds part for real, and a single beam of sunlight on this greeting between Gabriel and the Queen. And for a brief moment, you see Gabriel as he truly is, where he transcends. Now, the wings don't come out, he doesn't fully transform, but that light that shines from him, this light's not even the right word. It's a radiance that emanates. It is divine aura and power, um, and it kind of envelops him, but then it also envelops the queen, just to a lesser extent. The queen herself being partial celestial, but from a long line, um, back to supposedly Pelor himself. And you look to Matthias now, and he looks like he's gonna puke. Right? He is, and, you know, uh, like I don't know if you've ever sang karaoke, and you get that person that comes up and sings Journey or sings Prince and kills it, and then you're like the next person up, and you're like, no, I have to follow that. That's what I'm following. It'd be like if you were a
Leora,
stand-up
she like,
comedian and Robin Williams was the opener and you were the second one, right? It's
yeah.
not fair.
Leora reaches over and puts a hand on his shoulder and she's like, it's going to be all right, darling. We're normal people. She's not expecting that from us.
It's like I just I I didn't expect it to be. And he like looks around. And he's like, and all these people, and
You bow, you let me talk, and then we will move on.
okay, I trust you. And he kind of grabs your hand for a moment and squeezes just a little. Now he is celestial as well, so his grip strength is pretty strong. I think it's almost a little uncomfortable for you, um, but not so much that it hurts. Right? He knows his own strength. Um, and you step forward, and you see the queen's eyes widen immediately. Um, and
Leora bows and she's like, my queen, it's lovely to see you again.
I'm sorry. Remind me of your family's name. Wedding.
Our fine Wettengriff.
I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
Wettengriff, that's
Wettengriff.
their like last name, last name.
Yeah. And she's like, Miss Wettengrith, I was so sorry to hear the tragedy that befell your estate. I was unaware that I thought you were missing.
I had gotten away from the whole hubbub with my dear friend Matthias here. I am perfectly fine, as you can see. Um, it is again lovely to see you.
Well, and you as well. Have you had word from the lord or lady?
Unfortunately, no, I have not heard from either of my parents.
Oh, I was hoping that the rumors would be untrue and I would see them today. Uh, my deepest sympathies in this time of trouble. If you need lodgings or help, you know you are always welcome at the palace.
Of course, my queen.
And she puts out her hand, and she has the cool little sun ring.
She does take her hand and kiss her ring, as one does. She kind of motions for Matthias to do so as well.
Okay, yeah, Matthias is bright red, sweating, and he's just like, my queen, and he tries to like gently take her hand, but he's all sweaty, so he like rubs his hand on his suit, and uh, he eventually kisses her ring, and he doesn't abase himself too badly, but it definitely didn't go as smooth as yours, as your greeting went. Um, and she says, "May Pelor's light shine on you today and always." And
As to you, my queen.
you move forward. Now you see Gabriel is in a discussion with a noble that you recognize, but you're not sure what family they're a part of. They're one of the lesser houses, and you are next to this tent, and Matthias is just sweating. He looks like he's gonna faint. And I need you to roll agility for me.
That is a 12.
A 12.
My first fail of all of these lives.
Oh, a 12. That,
It's gonna
oh
be
man.
real
This is gonna
interesting.
be so good story wise. Okay, so you feel a hand grip you, and before you can say anything, another hand clamps over your mouth and pulls you into the relative darkness of this tent. Um, and at the same time, you feel someone brush past you quickly. And while you are still trying to adjust yourself, you hear a incantation that you recognize being in Celestial. It's the Celestial language. And you feel this strange force flow through your body, and suddenly everything's pitch black. And Matthias looks up and sees you standing there, um,
Me?
looking like absolutely nothing at all happened. Um, and
Me?
yes, um, so the true Leora has been kidnapped in broad daylight, very quickly and effectively, thanks to that low roll that you just graciously gave to me, which was so
I'm so
wonderful.
happy! I've never been happier to roll up. I had a feeling that this was it, and I was like, oh, roll low, and sure enough, hell yeah!
So now a false Leora, who is wearing a very similar dress. It would take a very critical eye to be able to notice the difference between the two. Um, is now hanging out with Matthias, and he did not notice anything because he was busy wiping the sweat off of his brow and trying to recover from fumbling kissing the queen's finger. so he, uh, and he's like, "Oh dear, maybe we should get some refreshment." You think?
That'd be a good idea.
And he takes this false Leora's hand and kind of pulls her towards a nearby booth where they are serving chilled beverages of all different kinds. And what does this Leora wish to drink?
Are they just like regular beverages or are they alcoholic beverages or kind of
There
a mix
there
of
is
both?
both. There is cocktails, alcoholic and non-alcoholic.
How long has she had to prepare for this?
Um, No, it went way quicker during the day than what she thought. It wasn't supposed to happen until later in the evening, but the situation presented itself quickly, and uh, the idea came up, and this Leora was assigned this mission just yesterday.
Okay.
I think they're still kind of like processing the whole thing, and then it went so smoothly though. Like I think she had been nervous, they had been nervous the entire day, and then it happened so fast, and now here you are.
So she's gonna kind of stand back and allow Matthias to hold on their fight. Forget
Was that cats or dogs?
rats. Oh. Um, so she stands back and she's gonna allow Matthias to choose.
Okay, okay. I think he realizes that the red sweet wine that was served on the saffron with your guys' meal, they have a very similar. So he gets you guys both a glass of chilled wine, um, and hands one to you, and then just quaffs the one. I mean, like immediately. Like there's no sipping. There's no the bouquet. He just and it's down. And then I think he orders himself another glass immediately. Um, So he's like, oh,
Most of the time, she like will kind of like sip it, but she does like she takes a gulp
mhm.
and then looks at him.
He's like, oh well, oh, I did not. What would you like to do for the celebration? There's games. We could watch performers. We could wander the palace. There are boat rides into the channel. How would you like to celebrate?
I would love to go explore the palace.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and so he leads you. So the way the courtyard is this is like the very front entrance to the palace, and there are these huge, massive doors that swing outward. Um, and 99.9% of the time they would be closed. But on today, it is this massive celebration, so they are flung wide for the nobility to be able to come in and out as they wish. This is, July 19th, I believe, is the solstice. So it is normally going to be really hot. Now, on this day, it's very breezy and the clouds are forming, so it is not as uncomfortably hot as July would normally be. But the palace is, of course, cool and. But all. So, as you enter the palace, there is this massive welcoming hall And there are chairs in abundance out today. Normally, there would be much more reserved seating, but on this day, there is tables and chairs spread throughout this hall. All of these massive stained glass windows are all of the curtains and the tapestries are thrown back. Whatever windows can be open are to let as much sunlight in as possible. Again, in here there are paper lanterns everywhere, but in here they are all they are all already lit. So there is this very varying light as you go, under these massive streamers of paper lanterns. There is a stairway to either side of you that leads up to a level where there's an open balcony that goes all the way around this chamber with multiple doors that lead away from it. And then there are other doorways. One going into the throne room, which again are these big, massive double doors that are thrown open. And in front of them is the king and several of the Queen's Guard. And he is greeting people as well, but his isn't as formal and as ceremonied as the Queen's. Um, so yeah, where would she like? Matthias is just kind of letting you pick where you would like to go and how you would like to do things.
I'm assuming the entire palace is not available. Like there are places where we are not supposed to go.
Yes,
Are those just closed off or are they guarded?
they would be guarded. There's actually a large increase in the Queen's Guard today. All Queen's Guard members are on duty today. So they're roaming the halls. They are outside of blocked off areas. Um, does this version of Leora have something particular in mind where she would like to go to a closed off area, or?
I mean, not particularly. She just wants to cause a little bit of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Um he sees her, she's like kind of looking around and she's eyeing like one guard that's like particularly scrawny, who's like guarding a door. She's just like stares at him for a minute and like looks him up and down.
Uh, okay, so this is an hour in. I would like to take a brief pause right here, for me to be able to have a smoke and think about where I want this to go from here because I don't have any plans, right? Like, uh, so I think when we come back to what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut to the true Leora for a little bit and let you know what's happening there, and then we will cut back to Matthias and this other Leora and see what's going on there.
Awesome.
So yeah, everybody, if there anybody is watching, we will be back in just a few minutes here.
Alrighty.
And we are back. It is so damn windy in Ohio right now. It is ridiculous. Um, I'm outside trying to have a smoke, and it took me a couple minutes just to be able to even light it. So that was cool. Um, hey, for anybody watching the stream too, I do have the entirety of my newbie campaign on my YouTube. If anybody wants to check that out, it is the beginning of it is a little slow and it's not my best work, but the end, grown men cried at the end. Okay, I fucking cried. Like it was so good. It was so good.
I need to watch that sometime.
Like I said, if nothing else, the last few episodes are very good. Um, so getting back, we open the scene in a dark room, and Leora opens her eyes, and you see your father, Silas. Um,
She's like, Father, what are you... What?
Sunshine, listen.
Where's Matthias?
He is well.
No, what is happening? Father, please, just tell me.
Sunshine, listen. Things have gotten out of hand. You are in danger. You are in so much
No,
danger.
I understand that things have been out of hand, but I was with Matthias and I was safe. I haven't
Matthias,
seen you in days.
you think you're safe with Matthias, with that boy.
I understand that you don't like him, but he has been keeping me safe.
I
He is the
will keep
reason that
you
I'm able
safe.
to be here with you. No, Father, there's
I
more
heard
things
what
happening than you
happened.
can understand.
You kept him safe. I'm very disappointed, Sunshine. You. Did you even return? Did you even check to see if we were alright?
I was afraid to. Didn't know what I might find and
So
didn't
at
want
this
to face
point,
what might have happened to Mother.
you realize there is another person in the room with you. It is a woman. She is pale skinned, dark hair, um, bright, icy blue eyes. She is wearing a gown of black and light blue, which is almost a slap in the face on this of all days. Um, and she comes up and she puts her hand on your father's shoulder and she says, "Hello, sister."
Okay. She looks between the woman and her father with just this utter confusion on her face, and she's like, "Sister."
Well, half at least. Uriel,
But
I heard that you heard now, correct?
you're not working with the Fae, are you?
And he has this look on his face of uh, when he's looking at her, his face seems to almost go blank, right? Like, but once
Hmm.
she takes her hand off of his shoulder and he looks back at you, he gets the stern expression again. And he says, "I have had to do what I had to do to protect you."
Protect me! That thing was Fae, and that attacked me, Father. This isn't protection.
She
You have
came.
heard all of Mother's stories. You know what they're like.
She came to get you. Matthias attacked her.
No, she chased after us. She nearly killed him.
He tried to kill her.
Was trying to protect me. You know how the Fae are like, Father.
So at this point, I think he's look. You will learn the truth of things soon. And he kind of and roll a vitality to see if you resist his magic.
That is a 38.
Okay, let me roll. That is technically a success for you, but let's see if you beat his roll. I should have had some physical dice out instead of using digital dice, but oh well. Oh man, he rolled bad. So, you feel this moment of just utter exhaustion, and but you are so you know adrenaline rush, and
I'll protect my boy.
yeah, Matthias could be in danger, especially with the way your father's acting, right? And this does not seem it. So your dad has always been stern, okay, and your dad has never liked Matthias, but this is above and beyond the way he would normally act. Um, and so you resist the sleep spell that he tried to cast on you. And being descended from the Fae, that makes sense because Fae are naturally resistant to charm spells. Um, and I think you hear uh, the woman, and she's young. She is right around your age, maybe slightly older, but it's hard to tell. And she sighs, and she's like, "I have to do everything myself." And she
When she hears that, it like clicks that she's gonna do something, and she swings around her and she's like, "Don't you dare!"
okay, make another agility roll. Agility this time, not make another, but
68.
okay. Let's see if she's faster than you. Her agility is not really her thing. Um, but let's see. Roll 100. Oh, she rolled an 80. So you turn expecting her to do something, but she does not do what you expect. What she does is she has some kind of like cloth or handkerchief, and she shoves it under your nose. Um, and so, not relying on magic this time, let's be a little more practical. You almost hear her say, "Does this smell like chloroform to you?" uh, and you again go unconscious. And as the consciousness is kind of fading from you, you hear her say, "Night, sunshine," and and that's it. Blackness for Leora.
Amazing.
So now we cut to Matthias, and another Leora. Um, and I think as just kind of a cool thing for the audience, um, this version of Leora is looking at this guard, and for a brief second, her eyes change and her facial features kind of contort, and then they snap back. And if anybody's seen any of the X-Men movies, it's a very Mystique sort of moment. And Matthias is just, I would have thought that you would have seen enough of the palace.
I mean, I've been here multiple times, but I've never really explored it.
So he looks around, and the crowd is much thinner, and he's like, let's go upstairs. I've never been upstairs, and he leads you upstairs, and as you kind of round, so these steps are a spiral staircase that go up to this massive balcony up above. Um, and like think of it kind of like a hotel lobby, right? Where when you come in, and there'll be the things to the rooms up above you. And so he leads you up the steps and turns into a hallway. And as he does, he locks his arm in with yours, and there's nobody around in this very area. And he kind of turns and he says,
For the audience view, as he does that, fake Liara goes, just like not happy to be touching a celestial, but then she like snuggles up to his arm, turns back on her charm.
and he kind of pats your hand, and he's like, I'm so excited to be able to share this celebration with you, and I've been waiting to be able to be with you for so long.
Truly is a miracle.
Oh my god, I love it. So and right now he is just he's not catching, right? He is not catching on. He is, still kind of bouncing on his toes, and he's super excited. And he leads you through. So these are like the guest rooms. The library is off of this wing. There is like formal sitting rooms for big meetings in this area. And there are all of these decorations out because it is Pelor's banquet. There are paper lanterns strewn through the halls. All of the windows are open and letting in this bright sunlight, um, which is kind of dimming now as the clouds continue to gather over the castle. And he is, just babbling excitedly about look at this tapestry, and oh, this statue is just the artwork of it, and this must be worth
And
a
she's just like,
fortune.
mm-hmm,
And
yes, yeah.
so yeah, he leads you all through um, the this wing of the palace, and it you occasionally come across other people walking through, some staff. There's guard patrols that come through, making sure that nobody's stealing the very expensive tapestries and artwork that are hung up all over the place. And After a while, he's like, you know what though? Let's go out into the celebration itself. This has been a nice, quiet moment, and he turns and looks into your eyes, and he does the Matthias stare that has come up very often at this point, and he actually comes in for a kiss.
And the changeling is like, okay. And she kisses him. Not happy about it. But is putting on her best face. She's like, God damn it, what did I sign up for?
Okay, so we're gonna say I should have made a character sheet for the changeling. But I'm gonna make you roll a charm check, and
Accurate.
her charm's gonna be 80 because so you have to roll a 20 or higher. Um, that is her whole deal.
79.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm
he
using my Feywild dice for this.
nice. He is completely oblivious. He does not notice. He is so caught up in the moment and the excitement of the day that he is not at all catching on the signals that she is putting out. That they because I don't changelings don't really have gender. They are in between. They can be whatever they want. Um, so he begins leading you back out of the palace and into back into the courtyard.
I will say, normally Leora would like have let go of him, knowing that Mary's gonna be around. The changeling does not.
Okay,
Changeling is still hanging off his arm.
okay, okay. Um, so I think he kind of notices, and he's like, oh, "Darling, as much as I truly love you, I don't know that we should, show public displays of affection here." Um,
Of course, of course. She lets go.
okay. Yeah, I think he's worried that the other nobles will, because he's not a noble, right? Now, if it was put forward that he was a celestial and that he was Gabriel's student, things would be different. But they are purposefully not letting that happen. Um, so back out into the courtyard, there are games of all kinds. There are performers, and as I said, there are these illusionists who are creating these crazy mass illusions. Uh, so the most obvious one being that above the castle, the clouds have parted and the sun is shining down. But in like corners of the courtyard, there are these illusionary depictions of Pelor that are like standing there with fire coming off of them and this big golden sword, and kind of showing Pelor in all his glory. In other areas, they are like accompanying the bards. So as the bards are playing, there are all of these lights that are going along with the music. There are depictions of different like animals and scenery that will like show up and disappear as the music plays. Um, Almost think of it as being like one of the coolest nightclubs that you would see in the modern world, where the light show is very specified to what is going on. And they are just consistently doing these absolute crazy things. Um, and during all of this, there is this loud bell that rings. And right now it is 3 p.m. Okay, so during a normal day, noon they would call midday, right? But this is Pelor's day, the longest day of the year. So 3 is basically like when it's starting to head into the after midday, right? The day starting to wane. And there's this massive bell that goes off, and the illusion above the sky stops, and all of this light just comes from every direction. And suddenly, in front of the queen is a procession. It is Titiana and Aurora and several of the summer court. Um, and they have come. Now, this is. I think you would know this as the Changeling, and Leora might even have known it too. The kind of anonymity between the Fae and the Celestials is partly because that their power waxes and wanes at the same time. So they can never really one up one another because it's the sunlight that gives them their power. It's the summertime that gives them their power, and they they both meet their peak at the same basic moment. So it is tradition for the summer court to come and pay homage to the queen, and for her to pay homage in kind. Um, so they are considered equals as far as royalty goes. Um,
So, does the changeling like the summer court?
no, no, the changeling does not. And I think the changeling might even be slightly worried that Titiana would be able to see her in her true form, be able to see them in their true
That's what
form.
I was thinking. So she, when that happens, grabs Matthias's hand and she's like, I really would like to go over there to that stand.
Yeah, and
The opposite direction of this.
I think Matthias looks and realizes what's going on and is like, yeah, I believe we have had enough of the Fae, correct? And he is totally on board. He doesn't want to talk to Titiana either, any more than he wants to talk to Morgana.
Is
So,
Gabriel going to be able to see through the form? Is that something she should be worried about?
no, Gabriel would have to like activate it, right? Like if he was in his
Okay.
archangel form, if he was in his transcended form, yes, 100%. But when he is kind of in his like mortal guise, then no. Um,
Okay.
unless he really looked, right? Um, unless he had suspicion, then he could kind of activate it. Um, so yeah, that it might be Gabriel that notices before Matthias, or maybe even Mary.
Which would totally, that is true.
Um, so yeah, there is while you two are kind of hiding in the shade of a booth, far away from the head of the courtyard. There is this kind of procession, this ceremony between the two queens, as they both bow to one another and kiss one another's rings, and they have formal greetings and exchanging of pleasantries and yada yada yada. Um, but this is of no interest to Matthias or the changeling version of Leora. So I think what you guys end up approaching is it's a game of chance. Um, and it is facing away from the main courtyard, and it has its own little awning that kind of offers shade. And Matthias just goes, you know, I've never really tried these. It should be fun, huh? And he kind of pulls you towards this game. Um, so what this is there is like a roulette wheel that is vertical, and it has all of these different colored sections, and it has these very narrow strips of gold. And the game is to take these throwing knives that they provide and try to hit these thin slivers of gold as the roulette wheel spins. Um, so Matthias pays the 5 money points that it costs to play because I love Josh's money point system and I'm using it from now on. And he gets the knives, and let's see how well he rolls. Oh man.
I would also like to take part in this.
Okay. So Matthias fails bad. I don't. Excuse me. I don't know that throwing knives are his thing. Um, and he rolled a 19, so he failed even in his agility. So I think he actually misses the roulette wheel. He gets 3 knives and he misses on one of them completely. And the other
At that
two.
point, she just grabs his hand and puts it down. She's like, "You're done."
So yeah, the kind of carnival barker that's running the game is like, oh, for the pretty lady will try.
Of course I will. I rather like throwing knives. Okay, so how many am I rolling and what is it?
Just run time and it's agility.
52.
Okay, okay. So yeah, you come very close, and it actually looks like it's going to hit, right? And actually roll a wisdom as well. Her wisdom is not as high. Her wisdom is only 50.
43.
Uh oh. Okay, so she doesn't notice, but let me. Let me see if Matthias notices, because this is something that would piss him off if he sees this. Being the dweeb
Especially if it's
celestial.
against his girl.
Yep. Yep. Who would think that a carnival barker would have a rigged game? Oh yeah, he totally notices. I got an 86. Um. So the last knife you throw looks like it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit that sliver of gold, and at the last second, it kind of veers, and Matthias is like, "What? What is this?" And the Barker is, like, "What? What? The pretty lady missed. It was close." And Matthias is like, "Excuse me," and he actually jumps over the fucking counter, grabs one of the knives, comes really close, and when he goes to stab it into the gold sliver, it veers to the side and stabs right next to it. And he's like, "Magnets? You have magnets in your wheel to pull them away from winning." The carnival barker is like, "Look, man, what are you can't just jump over the counter. These are insane accusations. I cannot believe that such a thing would be said to me in my game. How dare you?" They kind of get.
He,
Go ahead.
okay, I'm debating if, okay, is his like hand or something like on the like counter or whatever? Like a hand, like the carny, a hand or like his arm or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. She takes a knife, stabs it down right next to his hand. She
Mm-hmm.
goes, "I would like my price, please."
He's like, "Oh, look, you, sure, sure." And so there are all of these various prizes. And the biggest and best ones for if you were to hit all three of your knives in the gold sliver, which is impossible based on the way he's rigged the game. Um, it is this big lion plushie. But the main for the lion is reflective like gold fabric. And it has a sun crest on its chest. And he's like, "Hey, big winner, yeah!" And he heads out, and I mean it's big. It's like 3 feet, um, and it's nobody else is carrying one. So
She takes it. She's got a grin on her face. She's like, "That was lovely."
yeah, and I think Matthias, he kind of leans in and he's like, "This is why I love
She does smile at that. She thinks that's funny.
you." Um, as this is kind of finishing up, and he is handing out this giant sun lion plushie, the bell rings again, and there is this like kind of windstorm that goes through the courtyard for a moment. And when you look that way, the Fey Court that was in attendance are no longer there. They have their own celebration that will be going on in the Feywild. But as I said, it is tradition for them to come pay homage to the crown and to exchange pleasantries. Um, so again, Matthias is kind of letting the changeling Leora lead where to go and what to do. So well, you know what? You're gonna make me feel bad now though, because Leora's not here to see the paper lanterns, to see the.
Our poor girl.
Yeah. Now I feel bad. Not too bad
It's
because I'm an evil
okay.
DM, but I still feel a little bad.
She'll, she'll figure it out. You'll make it up to her eventually, I'm sure.
Hmm. You know what? I have an idea. I think I have a cool idea. We'll go with that. Okay. So so what I want to kind of move the story along a little because this is going to be just, silly stuff like what just happened. So, what all do you think Matthias and the changeling Leora do for the next several hours as they just kind of wander the courtyard?
Not a whole lot. She's trying to lay as low as possible.
Hmm.
Um, and so like the thing that she just did, she recognizes like that very easily could have tipped him off. So really what she's doing is kind of picking up on things that he says are like her, like he's like, "Oh, you like to do this," or "Oh, this is your favorite thing." Like she's working very hard to get those sorts of things out of him so that she can play her role better.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, give me another charm check, and we'll see how Matthias does with that.
57.
Okay. So, in this instance, he doesn't suspect anything, so I'm not gonna counter roll against you. But yeah, I think the changeling does get a lot of information about how Leora was so excited about this celebration, and how the true Leora has never been able to attend this part of the celebration, and how she always watched the paper lantern, the lighting of the sky, kind of from a distance instead of at the palace, um, and uh, and you have a lot of basic information because Silas filled them in on a lot of what was going on and what would go on. So she's pretty well informed. Um, so yeah, the celebration goes on. You end up eating a nice quiet meal with Matthias in one of the various tents that are spread throughout the courtyard. Um, and does she continue to consume alcohol? Because there are some very strong alcoholic beverages offered, but Matthias does not partake. He drinks wine again.
That's a good question. Because the Fae in her says yes, absolutely indulge, go all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then also there's that part of her where she's like, I don't want to screw up.
Mm-hmm.
She probably gets enough to be like tipsy, but then at that point is like, okay, I need to focus on what I am doing. I need to make sure that he doesn't suspect me. Everything is fine.
Okay. Um. Well, which way does she go then? Do you want to roll for it to see which way she decides, or
Yeah, yeah.
so this
What
is
what
a,
exactly am I rolling?
well, I guess that's up to you. But the way I was thinking of it is maybe a 50-50, right? Like if you roll 49 or below, she indulges, but if you roll 50 or above, maybe she keeps her head on straight.
Okay. Well, that's a 9, I think.
Is it a
It's two
10 and then
zeros
a
and a
9?
9, so
Yep.
that's a 9. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a 9. So she indulges then.
Nice.
Um, she's
Nice.
drinking,
What do you
which
think
she's never seen her do before.
what do you think would be her drink? Is it going to be like something strong and high end, or is it cheap and gets the job done?
Once again, the Fae in her is saying cheap and gets the job done. But do you think that she would know enough about Leora to know that she primarily drinks wine?
I mean, I think that is something that she would know, yes. But I think she's also at this point kind of thinks that Matthias is a boob, right? A dweeb. He's
As he
he's
is.
not noticing, right? And y- you haven't exactly been doing a stellar job of acting the part thus
He
far.
hasn't. Um, no, that'll be the one thing that the changeling does right is just sticks to wine.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, Matthias has had a few at this point too. So I think he is even dweebier than normal. Because a alcohol is a personality enhancer, right? I don't care what people say. How you act when you're drunk is how you really are. Um, and how he really is a very optimistic, innocent, essentially, right? And so he is getting even more into things. He's dragging you to try different games. He's stopping you to like at performances, and then starts dancing and being a goofy. He is he sits and watches a storyteller that is accompanied by an illusionist, and they tell the story of Pelor and Nyx and the beginning of time, and how they eventually became enemies and hate each other. And he actually he sheds the man tear, and yeah, he gets
The
kind of emotional there.
changeling actually starts having fun with him. And so like, rather than their like regular like pouty little attitude,
Hmm.
like start to have fun with him and are like dancing along and like don't have to act so much and they're like, this is fun.
Yep, Matthias, the life of the party. Um, as I've said before, Matthias is basically me. So if anybody wonders how I am when I'm drunk, it's not too dissimilar. Part of the reason I don't drink very often anymore. I actually have not drank in 2 years at this point. But so anyway, on a lighter note, the ceremonies in the the festival go on, and eventually it takes quite a while because the sun doesn't start setting until 10 p.m. Where because it is the longest day of the year. So as the sun truly begins to set, the sky is now full of clouds. But on the western horizon, there is a space between the clouds and the earth where you get to see the setting sun, and it lights up all of these clouds and these crazy pinks and purples, and it is a beautiful sunset. And as the sun begins to go down, um, there is a song that begins playing, and everybody begins dancing in the courtyard. Everybody, wherever you are, everyone's dancing. And as that happens, all of the paper lanterns that are throughout the entire area light up all at the same moment. It is this insane, just, and a lot of them you realize are hung by a hook that it doesn't hold it in place, right? It keeps it from falling. It doesn't keep it from rising. So all of these lanterns, after a moment, start to slowly rise up into the air by thermodynamics, which is a really cool thing. um,
Yeah,
and at the same time, there are these barges that are out in the bay that would normally be carrying, supplies and livestock and that kind of stuff. But they open up these big, rampways, and all of these lanterns just and fill the bay. I mean, fill it. So it is this big, massive bay, and the entire shoreline is now full of all of these lanterns that light and float onto the water out into the bay. Um, to the point, it's not daylight, right? But it's beautiful. It is gorgeous. And I think we cut to Leora, the true Leora, and she is tied up and gagged. And she is on a ship in the bay.
poor
And
girl.
yeah, so she gets to see this through a port window. She's below decks, so she doesn't even get to see the full effect of it. Um, but so I guess I can imagine how I think she would be reacting, but you tell me, how is Leora reacting at this sight?
She's heartbroken. Like, really, truly heartbroken. She was supposed to be there with Matthias, watching these lanterns rise from the palace. Thing that she like has wanted to do for a very long time. She's supposed to be happy and free, and she is literally tied up now on
Hmm.
a boat going who knows where away from him. She
Yeah.
doesn't know if he's safe. She doesn't know if he's looking for her. And she's just heartbroken because especially her father has betrayed her at this point.
Hmm.
And that's I think what stings the worst for her
Yeah.
is her father has taken her away from the man that she loves and this life that she was finally getting to live.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's nothing that she can do about it.
Yeah.
She's going to try, she's going to fight like hell. At the moment, she's sitting there, staring at the porthole, at the lanterns rising, knowing where she should be, and she just feels completely hopeless.
Yeah. So at that moment on the ship, a door opens up nearby. You're actually laying on a bed, tied up, gagged, and tied to the bed as well. So your hands and feet are tied together, and then there are ropes going from your hands and feet to posts on the bed to keep you there. And a door opens up, and there is this bright light for a moment, and then a silhouetted figure of this woman that you just recently met. And like I said, she's wearing a very form fitting black gown with blue embroidery. She has long, dark brown, or maybe even black, close to black hair. Um, she has these bright, icy blue eyes and very pale skin. And her dress is slit all the way up to the hip, showing a lot of skin. And she kind of looks in at you and she says, "Sister, we have a lot of catching up to do." And the door shuts, and we cut back to Changeling Leora. Um, and she is, I guess, how do you think? Because, like, to me, I don't think the Changeling would be as impressed by this, right? Like, it's cool, but in the Fae, there would be, these insane celebrations where it wouldn't be silly paper lanterns. It would be magic, right? It was magic everywhere.
Right.
Um,
I mean, she doesn't really partake in these celebrations because she's from the Winter Court. Um, so like this isn't anything she's experienced before. So she doesn't necessarily have a direct celebration to compare it to, but there are winter celebrations that she has and she does, and that are 10 times more mystical than this.
mhm.
Um, but she's looking around and she's like, oh, wow, beautiful. Don't you think so, dear?
So Matthias he's kind of beside himself. He's been able to participate in this more than Leora, so he knows what's going on. But he's drunk. He's drunk at this point. He drank too much wine, and so I think he's kind of overcome with emotion because he's a sensitive boy and he's a dweeb. um, so I think he reaches out and grabs your hand and squeezes it a little, just as he did before with the real Leora. Almost uncomfortably so, but like I said, he knows his own strength, so it's not painful, but it's close to. And he is just kind of speechless at the moment. Um, and there is this long pause where the music kind of dies down and everybody just stands in awe as the whole sky, the whole bay is full of these tiny flames going in all directions. And all of the canaries that I was talking about earlier, all of these little yellow songbirds are let go, and so they their feathers have almost like a reflective property to them. So as they go up into the sky, all the light from all of these lanterns catches off of their, sort of iridescent feathers, and it makes this really like sparkling scene. As the sun finally crests the horizon and darkness overtakes the sky, not crests, as it. Anyway, that's not the word I was looking for, but as the sun sets completely, its rays no longer lighting up the sky, there is this brief moment where it is almost as bright as the sun, and super duper cool looking. And I actually think that right there is where we're actually going to kind of just end this session. Um, so it's a little
No!
early. Um, but I have some more stuff that I want to get into, but if I start it, it's gonna it's gonna take too long, right? And I'm sorry, but I gotta go pick up my
Yeah.
son. Um,
Okay.
so what did you think? What did you think about my live game?
That was great. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I
Um,
cannot wait to do more.
yeah, yeah.
I am interested though in how we're gonna pull the two Leoras off in the text game.
I actually think that what we'll do is we'll kind of go back and forth in specific times, right? So like we'll start with this time right now, and we'll go from the changeling Leora to the morning, right? And then we'll go from real Leora to the morning, and then just keep doing it like
Hmm.
that, going back and forth between the two of them until something with that resolves. Um,
I say that
and
results. I have an idea. I have
okay,
an idea.
yeah.
What if the changeling falls for Matthias?
Oh man. Um yeah, that would definitely add some zest to that story. That is 100%. Um I think it's possible, right? Cuz Matthias is just an all-around good, right? Like and it would.
He's a very alluring person.
Yes, and he would not be at all what she is used to. Because
Right.
the winter court is cold, right? Like not entirely without emotion, but just way colder about it, way more subdued. And
That's what she's struggling with is like showing emotion. She's like,
hmm yep. Well, and then Matthias is emotion incarnate, right?
hmm
He's the sensitive man that has um, no inhibitions with showing what he is feeling. And he is exceedingly warm, right? He is the polar opposite of what she would be used to in the winter court. Um,
hmm
so yeah, that would definitely be something. Maybe we do like Matthias does incidental charm rolls as we go, and like so many
yes.
successes will have her kind of fall for him. Um,
I think it'd
or
be so fun because then Mary, fake Leora, and real Leora are all like, hey.
yeah, yeah, that would be. That's a cool idea. I love that. Um, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Because it could even be that maybe the opposite happens, right? Maybe she gets kind of too overwhelmed with Matthias's um,
hmm
warmth, right? And she might kind of try to alienate herself from it. And that could even be how he discovers, if he's the one to discover, where he'll
hmm
be like, "Wait a minute, you're not Leora." Dear God,
I'm
what have
excited to
I
see how long this is gonna go on for.
done? Yeah.
Like, just how long it takes him before he finally realizes that this isn't her.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I absolutely love it. So, anybody watching the stream, if anybody is watching, um, if you want to play in these games, take a cue here. You get to decide the story, right? Like, now I'm gonna have some stuff in it. Like, obviously, I did not warn her that she has a half sister. Um,
Nope.
and she seems to be a little evil. Just weep it.
I think it's the most interesting is that my mother is technically part of the summer court,
hmm
but my sister is part of the winter court.
Winter court. Yep. Yep.
That's also an interesting thing.
Yep. Well, and she mentioned Uriel right away, right? And
Hmm.
like I said, she would be your half sister, not your true sister.
Right.
And but close enough to where she could easily call you sister, and that seems to be what she's decided. She is going to be calling you. And I am super excited for this character. I'm not gonna lie. This is a reiteration of a character I've done in other campaigns. Um, uh, Her name is Mordris, and she is one of my favorite characters I've ever created. And I love this story so much that I was like, yes, Mordris is gonna be in here. Um, so in previous iterations of Mordris, she is my original character Morden's half sister.
Hmm.
And they have a very strange relationship where Morden is an anti-hero and she's a villain, right? So, but he could never do anything against her because they're blood, they're family,
Hmm.
and that was a big thing for Morden. But she does not have that compunction, right? She gives zero fucks. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. And yeah, I hope you do too. It's been a blast
I'm
so
so
far.
excited.
Yeah. And God, I love introducing stuff like that on the fly. You know, like, oh, hello, sister.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. This is going so well.
Yep. Well, and it also might seem that maybe she has used the charm of the Fae on your father. Um, so she could even be the one behind everything that has happened to you lately. Um, because I mean,
What?
well, if you think about it, right? Winter Court seems to have charmed your father. Uh, but I'm not saying that she is behind everything, but she could definitely be in
Oh
there.
my goodness.
Uh, yeah, and I'm having so much fun with this. This story, and then behind the scenes, and the
Mm-hmm.
Valiant payoff are by far my favorites. Like, I love all the stories. Don't get me wrong. If any of my players are watching this, I love your story too. Um, but these are the stories too where I don't have to take as big a hand in it, right? Like, you three drive your own story, and I'm just kind of like, hey, there's a stop sign. I mean, the stop sign's your sister. uh, Whereas my other groups, which I still love, I love telling stories, but I drive the story a lot more in some of my other games, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But then I know where it's going, right? And these stories, I'm like, I have no fucking idea. I'm just kind of going with whatever they want to do.
Exactly. Like you never would have thought. Have the changeling fall in love with Matthias too.
Yeah,
Everyone's in love with Matthias.
everybody. Matthias is Bay. I'm telling you, we're gonna get that trending as a hashtag.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
It'd be amazing. I'm so excited.
So there's a good chance I'll be doing more live games here soon. My work, unfortunately, is canceling days out and taking hours away from me. which both means that I have more time and I need to generate some income. So that'll be a thing. Well, and my partner, the poor girl. Now I spent years working a ton of overtime to get everything that my family has, and now she is kind of carrying some of the financial burden, and she's working two jobs now, and I feel so bad. But she just found out today that she's working both of her jobs today, and it's gonna be a 16-hour day, and
Oh,
she's not
yikes.
she's not very happy. So that's another reason I want to start generating some income for this, so that she doesn't have to do that. Because man, it makes me feel terrible. Um, like I'm not as well of a provider as I should be, and that fucking sucks. That is the worst feeling. Um, but that will allow me to tell more stories. So I guess we're gonna look at the bright side here. Um, so anybody that isn't on the Discord, if you're watching or if you watch this in the future, hi from the past, go go join the Discord and do your 2 week free trial because all of the DMs are amazing. All of the systems are super fun. I actually, as soon as I'm done with March, I am going to join the Bearded GM in a Monster of the Week game because I'm super excited to be able to do that. But right now, I got too much going on between the O team, which, oh my god, that is going crazy. Um,
It's so great.
yeah, yep,
For context, we play that game together. Josh Orzak, he's owner of the ONU. That is within his system and his world and everything. And it's so much fun to get to play with you as a DM and as a player. And the various things that you do, all sorts of different characters. So you play with like Dweeb Matthias versus like Office Rockers Hannibal.
yeah.
It's great. I love it.
Well, and then I've got lawful evil Morden, right? So, yeah, I will say normally in my fantasy world, I am brutal and evil because in real life I'm a good person, right? So in my
Mm-hmm.
fantasy life, nah. like, so Morden is way more true to my normal characters that I would play. And they're always lawful evil, right? So he has a code of ethics. He has specific lines that he will not cross. They just don't align with everybody else's, right? Like if you're in his way, hey, you get murdered. You know, like that's your bad as far as he's concerned. You should have stayed the fuck out of the way.
Exactly.
uh, so yeah, this has been so much fun, but unfortunately, I need to get going. I gotta go pick up my son from school. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to tell the stories with you. I love it
It's
so
so
much.
fun. I love every second of it.
So any viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and I, I'm hoping to advertise a little more when my next live streams will be. These ones were kind of like, hey, it's the morning I'm gonna go live. Maybe come check it out. So in the future, I will schedule a little better. Um, but until next time, everybody, thank you so much, and I will see you again.